Hello everyone and welcome back to round 12 of the F1 1999 career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Italian Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the last one that went live from Belgium, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. Just 4 rounds to go of the season here, and things are heating up in the Drivers' Championship. Unless your name is Eddie Irvine at the top of the table, he has got a monstrous lead over David Coulthard and Michael Schumacher. We seem to actually be locked into battle with Ralph at the moment, though. He's actually coming on quite strong towards the latter stages of this campaign. But as we return to Monza, though, this weekend, I think this is going to be a solid track for Williams. Of course, they have got so much straight line speed in that car and next to no downforce, which is basically perfect with the Temple of Speed. But of course, obviously, yeah, the F1 23 My Team career mode's finished. The F1 Championship Edition career mode is now finished. This series is the last one we've got going on before F1 24, and with just 4 rounds to go, we've kind of got to try and space this out a little bit on the build-up to F1 24. But I have got some other exciting videos going live over the course of this week as well, so make sure you get yourself subscribed if you're new around here. We're trying to hit 130k at the moment, but yeah, this one, I feel it's going to be a tough one before hopefully we head into 3 tracks that should suit our car. Well, I've got to be honest, I don't think it ever gets boring hearing these V10s screaming at you at 17,000 RPM. I am very much looking forward to when we head into the new generation of cars that rev even higher, but Michael Schumacher's clearly found something extra top-end speed-wise this weekend. As we make our way down in towards Turn 1, of course, this thing limited all of these cars. Well, every car I thought was limited to 200 miles an hour, but clearly Ferrari have got something a little bit extra here at their home GP. But like I said, this is going to be a tough weekend for Jordan. I'm not expecting us to have a huge amount of pace here. Maybe it'll be just trying to hang on inside that top 10 there as we shut the car through the second chicane. It really does feel light and nimble still through the corners, but you've got to be so careful with the curbing around this venue, making up quite a few places around the back half of the lap there. But that was a terrible run off of the second Lesmo here. Will it be Eddie Irvine who looks to try and take yet another pole position here? The Irishman really has just been in another league so far in this series as we make our way out through the Ascari chicane, though. We're still floating kind of around P7 to P10 here, so I think we're locked into battle with probably the Stewart cars, I would imagine, because I thought Williams will likely lock out the 3rd row. But making our way out of the final corner, try and roll on that throttle nice and early, drag racing back up towards the line. We are a long way off those Ferraris, and it is P8 on the grid, ready for the Italian GP. Well, it is Michael Schumacher then that storms to pole position here. Just 4 races to go. Has he given up yet on a title charge against his teammate Eddie Irvine? Hakkinen lines up P3 over a second behind, with Ralf Schumacher doing a very good job to get himself onto the 2nd row there. David Coulthard, I'm sure, will be gutted to end up down in P6, but we were 8/10 slower than Ralph there at the end of the session. Williams, way slower than I was expecting as well, actually fighting it out with the Benettons a little bit further behind, but 27 laps ahead of us. We've got a lot of work to do here, but hopefully we can bring home some points. Quickly though, before we get into that, I want to talk about today's video sponsor, Moza. Yes, Moza provides some of the best value and just simply best quality sim racing equipment out there for those of you on the PC platform. They've got a huge variety of steering wheels, wheelbases and pedals, and I've worked with them for the last couple of years. Truth be told, if I was only racing on PC, I would probably be using their products exclusively. If you're interested in purchasing any of their equipment, I will leave a link down in the description below, and if you click through there, you also help support the channel at no extra cost to yourself. It really does make a difference.
It's time for the Italian Grand Prix once again, here at the beloved and iconic Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. With the lowest downforce and drag of any circuit in the season, expect to see drivers making the most of the slipstream effect here today. We're 12 miles northeast of Milan for today's Grand Prix at a Monza circuit where we can expect top speeds of around 215 miles per hour. 11 corners on this 3.6 mile track, with 7 of those coming in the form of chicanes. And with a good slipstream and DRS open, there should be plenty of opportunity for some passing here today.
Well, I must admit, I am quite a fan of the steering wheel, actually, in this mod. I quite like these old-school, very, very bare-bones steering wheels that teams had back in the late 90s. I would use cockpit camera if it wasn't for the dash limitations, but unfortunately, yeah, that means it just looks a little bit janky on video there. But take a look then at strategy today. I mean, it's Monza and it's the F1 Classic mod, so tyre wear isn't really going to be much of a concern. It is cloudy, though, all afternoon, so how that's going to affect grip, only time will tell. But waiting then on the grid, ready for the Italian GP. It is 5 red lights. And it is lights out, and away we go. We listen to all those V10s sing as I have not put the power down. Huge trumper wheel spin as we try and cycle up through second gear there, as both Benettons are going to go past me down in towards turn 1. And we've already lost one, and I've locked the rears down at the first corner. So Villeneuve's going to sneak by. Got no idea who we've lost. I think that must be one of the Arrows cars, I want to say. But instantly then this race calming down just a little bit, but apparently not. If it's Jacques Villeneuve, still trying to look for a move on Marc Gené there, as it looks like Ralph has made his way up to P3. Gené's actually got a 5-second penalty, so I'm guessing he's been done for overtaking under yellow flags there. I think that was actually the move he did on me when we locked the rears into that first corner, trying not to clear out a couple of the Benetton cars. But when is it going to be green flag racing once again then here? VSC finally coming in then. Immediately Jacques Villeneuve wants to go on the offensive on Marc Gené, who seems to already be struggling, trying to get the car pointed where he needs it there, even under the VSC, where you're basically still racing, where these cars are a bit slower there, as now they go 2 by 2 just in front. Fisichella, Alexander Wurz battling it out for P8, and we've got the best seat in the house to watch all this unfold. But will we be able to capitalise? This is one of the interesting problems, obviously, with these 6-speed gearboxes, of course, is that everyone's pretty much limited to the same speed. Unless you're Ferrari, apparently, but maybe now we can try and get a run around the outside of the Minardi car. Marc Gené actually doing a very, very good job early on. Clearly that thing's got some straight line speed. We'll snag the front brakes, but we will get it stopped and not clean out Jacques Villeneuve in the process. And we are up to P11 again. Oh, again, we got Wurz, and oh no, I think he's just gone clean around the outside. Fisichella there making the move on his teammate. So Benetton, I think, are desperate to try and hold the Williams and myself back early on here. Like I said, I'm staggered by just how much Williams have struggled in qualifying this weekend. Frentzen still obviously behind me in P12. Monza, though, more than any other track, I always think, imagine coming here back in the late 90s or the early 2000s when these V10s were screaming. You know, imagine just sitting on the outside of the circuit, watching them roll out of that final corner as 3 wide goes Wurz and Villeneuve temporarily with Giancarlo. Obviously, everyone limited to the same speed, so they have to tuck back in. But it must have just been such an experience back in the day. And, you know, it's that little bit of magic that I feel Formula 1 has lost, you know, with the loss of these bigger engine cars. They must have been absolutely deafening, as Villeneuve's made the double overtake work, though, as he makes his way past Fisichella. So hopefully we can try and follow suit. Oh, he hasn't. Fisichella immediately trying to go back around the outside of Jacques Villeneuve. At the inside for the second of the Lesmos, and they're all going to kind of trip over each other here. So we need to try and capitalise, if possible, to the outside of Alexander Wurz. Oh! Wurz, you cannot do that with this damage mod, my friend. That was so scary. I thought we were just going to completely clean us out. As Fisichella and Villeneuve still side by side. The Williams finally, once again, will stay out on top. But now we've got Heinz-Harald Frentzen wanting to try and get involved as well here. So there are just cars battling left, right and centre early on this afternoon. A little bit of wheel bang in there with the German. As we've got more yellows and potential flags out, but I don't think anyone's gone off. As here comes Frentzen again, back to my outside, then back down in towards turn 1. But yeah, I mean, just no one can do anything early on here. You're just stuck in a train with these other cars as I broke too late. I saw Frentzen brake later than me and immediately tried to emulate it. And we'll hang on to the position rather cheekily. We got yellows out, someone's gone. That is David Coulthard out of the Grand Prix. What has happened to the McLaren? Well, riding on board then with DC as he makes his way out of the chicane, just gets too heavy on the throttle and into the wall he'll go, and very reminiscent of the crash that Mika Hakkinen, of course, had in the real-life race here down at the first chicane. Coulthard is out of this race. That now means, yeah, we've got a full safety car out in this Grand Prix, so we're going to take the opportunity to pit then at the end of this lap. Yeah, rather surprised that is a safety car. I'm guessing if they can't get Coulthard out of that gravel trap, then there are bigger problems at play. But that works out really well for us, because I'm now inside the top 10, although we're not going to be here for very long. And obviously for Ferrari as well, of course, DC still trying to challenge them in the Drivers' Championship, of course, and McLaren as well, losing valuable points in the Constructors, which already looks like a losing battle, but doesn't look like anyone else is peeling into the pit lane here. I'm happy to sacrifice track position at the moment. It means we can try and undercut everyone later on, because sensibly, we hopefully shouldn't need to pit again before this race is done and dusted. We are going to have to try and move through some of the slower cars, though. As Ricardo Rosset is already pit here, so I don't even think we're going to be in last place. I think we're still going to get the jump on him. Yeah, it might be Jos Verstappen that is out of the race as well. I've got to be honest as well, yeah, this safety car's actually worked out rather nicely, because early on, I was getting very, very nervous that we were actually going to run out of fuel as well before this race comes to an end. I massively underestimated how much extra fuel we were set to use, so I'm trying to save as much of it as we can under this safety car that will hopefully give us enough to get to the end. Safety car returning to the pit lane then at the end of lap 8 as we pretty much get to 1/3 distance here. I've got to be honest, doing just those couple of laps under the safety car, these medium tyres feel pretty good, but we're still going to have our work cut out by the end of the afternoon. But I'm just hoping we can try and leapfrog a lot of the other AI that we seem to be locked into battle with early on here today as we try and roll on that throttle out of the... What is that? He just stopped on the racing line. Why aren't we going? We've still got a race on, lads. It's Pedro De La Rosa. I got no idea what that was about in the Arrows car. He's now going to try and go defensive from me down in towards that first corner, and surely he's going to careen into someone. Somehow not. We'll go around the outside of his teammate, though, through the first corner. And hopefully we're going to be able to try and put the power down there. I mean, these are cars we should be flying by after the restart. Jos Verstappen in that second of the BARs. What a disappointing year it's been for them. Sure, they were hoping for a lot more success. But yeah, clearly have not had a car up to scratch, a bit like we saw, of course, in the real-life 1999 season. But yeah, we need to try and carve our way through these back markers. We need to try and basically be staring down the barrel of the top 10 again. Nice run on the BAR to the outside. Get that lovely half-and-half livery there. Kind of obviously the Subaru World Rally theme on one side. Jos Verstappen, though, does not want to give it up. And we're forced to slam on the anchors through the next corner as we've got more yellows out. Pedro De La Rosa trying to complete the miracle here, as he's still battling with Genet. And I think that is one of the Sauber cars down in towards the final corner of Jean Alesi. So we make our way. Oh, De La Rosa almost gets turned around by Jos so clearly. There is no love lost between these backmarker cars, is there, at the moment? They are having a fierce battle throughout the race so far as Verstappen trying to get closer to Marc Genet. Back down in towards turn 1. We'll just try and brake a little bit early. Oh, and Verstappen has been absolutely sent to the Shadow Realm. Marc Genet, that might be another pen. Not ideal there for Marc, but luckily for us, yeah, it isn't a full safety car. Otherwise, we would be in big trouble. We've got another one gone. We've got 2 more cars gone. Verts and Fisichella have come together. What on earth is happening today? Well, riding on board then with the second of the Benetton cars, you can see he makes his way through the chicane and, oh, just his teammate loops it around and they both end up in the wall. Heartbreak for Benetton here in what I believe is their home Grand Prix. And they have got a lot of just very expensive repair bills and an evening of pondering what could have been. I said we needed to try and be back towards the top 10 here, but now with 15 cars left in the running, there is a huge opportunity for a couple of the backmarkers to try and squeeze a couple of points out of this. I've got no idea how that wasn't another safety car, but I'm not going to complain. And we can immediately see as well other cars peeling into the pit lane then. Heinz-Harald Frentzen, Mika Hakkinen, Irvine all in. So we are going to be a long, long way out in front. And Steam wanted me to pit again. We're going to try and hold off from that as best as possible. But it would be nice to know the gap to Irvine sooner rather than later. As Genet again, terrible run through the first couple of corners. He has got that penalty. And of course he knows we aren't really probably a car he should be fighting with. With a long way around there through Curva Grande. Will it be a Grande move? That Minardi has got some ponies in a straight line. They are really delivering at their home GP. But we are through. There we go, Rubens Barrichello into the pit lane, and maybe the other Ferrari. Yep, Michael Schumacher, in he goes. So we are now effectively in the net lead of this GP. Herbert and Alesi, though, Sauber running 2 and 3, but I think Jacques Villeneuve leading the way. Oh, Alesi, huge moment out of the final corner. We almost do the same thing as he'll peel into the pit lane, and Johnny Herbert now takes the lead of the GP. Ricardo Rosset in his BAR is going to be up to P3. I think the only really sad thing about all this is those Ferraris, despite me pitting under safety car, are only 3 seconds behind me. So any chance of the win is non-existent. But we will try and hang on as best as we can. Oh, big moment there for Johnny Herbert as we cross half distance this afternoon. The Sauber driver desperately just trying to get a few laps led under his belt this weekend. But I mean, look at this for a top 5. Johnny Herbert leading the way in a Sauber. We're second in a Jordan. We obviously got Ferrari 3 and 4. That's not so uncommon. And then Mika Salo in his Arrows car is running P5. I've got no idea if he's already pit. I think he started the race on hard, so he's just trying to go as far as he can. But those Ferraris aren't taking that much time out of me. They definitely will still beat me, but they're not doing as well as I thought they would, as Herbert peels into the pits. So for the first time in a few Grand Prix, we're going to be leading the way. But not for long, because Schumacher's still 3 seconds a lap faster. Ferrari do genuinely seem to have more top speed than everyone else here. I mean, look at that! Everyone else can do 200 miles an hour. I was on the red line, and Schumacher just flies past me. No wonder no one can get close to him this weekend, or at Spa either. If they've got like 10 mile an hour extra over everyone down the straights, of course no one stands a chance here late on this season. But as we make our way out of the second Lesmo, I think, yeah, it's not going to be long for Eddie Irvine also sails past me. Oh, come on, I'm trying to let you by on the inside, mate. How are Ferrari doing that? I genuinely thought every car in this iteration on this mod was limited to 200 miles an hour, but apparently not. Hakkinen's gone. Mika Hakkinen's out of the Grand Prix. McLaren have had an absolute disaster here. So suddenly, while I was worried about Mika, and he's yeah, obviously disappeared off the relative, suddenly now it's going to be a battle between myself and Ralf Schumacher for the final podium place. And, I mean, I'm looking at it in the Constructors. We might genuinely be able to get close to McLaren if they keep fumbling towards the end of the year. I mean, the fact we're down to just 13 runners in this race to tell you absolutely everything. Hakkinen, I did look, it was just a mechanical failure. So nothing too exciting to report on. I mean, I don't want to tempt fate here late on in the day, but in the ideal world, both Ferraris come together, and we somehow take a shock 1-2 for Jordan this afternoon. A boy can dream, but 10 laps to go. We really have just got to bring this thing home. As we round the final corner then to start lap 20, we aren't home and dry just yet. Yeah, that lack of pace we had to Ralf in qualifying seems to have really carried over into the GP as well. I don't know if he's also got more top-end speed or what's going on with that. But yeah, 7 laps to go, and the gap down to just 7 seconds.
Okay,
Oh, safety car.
The safety car is out. We need to form up at a reduced pace.
What's happened to Magnussen, who seems to be out of this race? Well, I got it completely wrong. I think it's actually Villeneuve, not Jan Magnussen, who's out of this race. They're in the Williams, but you can see he's just dropped it on the exit of the Ascari chicane. And all we can see is the view from the Sauber's perspective, so very odd. But yeah, Villeneuve, I think, is out of the GP. Well, with 3 laps to go, then the safety car is finally peeling back into the pit lane, and now we've got a chance to try and fight Ferrari for the win here at their home GP. Schumacher really hasn't given much room there, as Eddie Irvine, you can see they both slow down off of the restart. That's going to leave us vulnerable to Ralph as we make our way back down in towards turn 1. But is Eddie Irvine going to go for it? Yes, he is. Look at that. Between the Ferraris down at turn 1, Michael Schumacher desperate to get the elbows out ahead of his teammate if he wants to keep his championship hopes alive. We have held on for now to P3. Eddie Irvine seems to have just tucked back into that P2 position, but almost a very dramatic restart here from Monza. But I'm not even sure we're going to be able to watch that Ferrari battle for very long. They are just so much quicker.
They're starting to pull away from us.
As I think Ralf Schumacher's gone, no. Schumi, I think, dropped it late on in the day, and that's going to promote Rubens Barrichello up into P4 then. So there is carnage and chaos off of the restart here as we're just trying to hang on to our own car. We should have the pace over the stewards, and now suddenly we might have, we might just bring home P3. As we round the final corner then to start the last lap of the Grand Prix, Barrichello flies past me as we make our way back down in towards turn 1. And now Jan Magnussen as well, trying to make a move around the outside here. The AI absolutely going for it towards the end of the afternoon there. So I think, oh, we've taken Magnussen out. I'm so sorry, Jan. He made it so far into the GP. And Jan Magnussen now, with just 1 lap to go, is out of this Grand Prix there. Barrichello is now up at a P3, so are we going to lose out our podium place on the very last lap there? That is a ridiculous amount of curb, and, well, that's just a corner cut, to be completely honest with you there. But as we make our way up through the Lesmos, the tyres, they have completely gone on this final lap of the GP there as we try and get back on the road. Heinz-Harald Frentzen now runs into the back of me as well in that Williams car, and we'll get a second warning of the lap. It has all fallen away from us on the final lap of this GP. Will John Alesi be able to make anything happen as well? He's got into the side of me. And John Alesi's out of the Grand Prix. What on earth is this? Towards the end of the Grand Prix there, we're down to just 10 runners in this race. Ricardo Rossi, it looks like it's going to be a good payday for him and BAR. Michael Schumacher is going to win the Italian Grand Prix. Can we try and get a run back around the outside of Frentzen through the final corner there? He's going to try and squeeze me out. Frentzen will hang on, and it is heartbreaking. It is P6.
They made great use of the clear air today then and didn't allow anyone to exploit the slipstream behind them. What a great win here at Monza. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari.
Well, I can only apologise to John Alesi and Jan Magnussen on that final lap there. I think just where our tyres were going off, the AI has so much extra braking performance, and, well, both of them just making minor contact with us, but it is enough in these cars to really cause an issue there. Michael Schumacher, though, takes the win ahead of his teammate Eddie Irvine in the end. Rubens Barrichello, a future Ferrari driver, in P3 ahead of Ralf Schumacher. Heinz-Harald Frentzen beats myself with Herbert, Rossi, Genet, and Salo rounding out the point scorers there. So I'm trying to have a think. I think it was literally Benetton and McLaren that didn't score points this weekend. Every other team getting some points on the board there. That means in the Drivers' Championship, Schumacher now just 37 back behind his teammate. It's basically going to require an Eddie Irvine DNF if Michael Schumacher wants any chance towards the end of the season there. We are now just 7 back from Mika Hakkinen, but 2 ahead of our teammate as Rubens Barrichello jumps past both of those Williams cars. Herbert, big points for him, boasts him up the order, with Rossit now with his first points of the year ahead of Nakano, Genet, and Mika Salo there. Just Jos Verstappen and Pedro De La Rosa, the 2 drivers yet to score points there. And that does also mean BAR jump past Minardi and Arrows as well in the Constructors, as we are now just 31 points back behind McLaren with just a handful of races to go. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for the Japanese Grand Prix.